Shift. Hello, this is Max Drake. I want to talk about this AutoHotKey freezer inventory one here, which is using a barcode scanner. Here's my inventory that I actually have in a simple little text file through there. I'm just going to pop over onto here, so I'm making sure I'm not in that thing at all. I'm going to then go and do an inventory through here, which starts up a pop-up box which actually says enter the string to search. Now I want to do this first one through here, so it's prawns. So I'm going to go down to prawns 1 and activate that, and I can use the thing now to set that off. I've got an OK through there. There's 4 prawn portions through there. I'm going to make it 3 prawn portions, and I'm going to press OK. And it comes through with a bit of toast down there. And then if I come into here, it says this file has been modified. Do you want to update? Now just see this one, the first one's going to disappear and it's going to end up here. This one has a date of the 26th. Now if I go yes, you'll see it comes down and it's got the date of the 28th, and the portions have reduced down to 3 from 4. So whereas the original script for the plants was basically you just scan something and then it went into a file, with this one, first of all, you've actually got to come through and you've got to do a lookup. And so you've got the record file here, and so you've got an input box and it says what's your search string. So we give it a search string based on a list of the QR codes down here of whichever one we're actually doing. It loops through that file until it finds that string, and then it returns the whole length of the whole string, the whole row of information through there. The other thing which we do as well is that we actually capture the index line of which it is. So this one here says it was on line 1 or it was on line 17 or something, because we need to go and take that line out after we've finished with it because we've updated it. Now, if we're doing something in Excel or Google Sheets or something like that, I'm just going to pop this up full thing through here. So if we have something in Google Sheets or something, we've got headers, so we can actually say come across the header and come down a certain thing. So we can go and look at the header rows through there, or the column headers and stuff like that. With a text string, generally, we're just doing a lookup on the first item, and we could, and we're just looking at the stuff across. Now, there's no intelligence in that. It's just a whole string of digits, and whatever they are, they are. So what we've actually got to do is we've got to break them down into relevant items and give them a variable name. So this is where we get the string returned of the one that we found the M prawns on, and then we break it down. And the first 5 digits, so we go onto the line, and the first item on the line for the first 5 digits is our code or ID. The second item, which is item 7, and the next one along is the one called count. The next one along from 10 is 2 is a portion. The next one along is a container, which is at 13, and it's 2 items long. And then the next one along, if we look at that, is in fact a date. So we've got a date onto there, and then the last one is a description of what those items are. So we can then rip that up and actually just break it up into little pieces and actually call them different stuff. So now we've got those things through there, we can start adding some intelligence to it, and we can suddenly say, well, compare this with this, or how many of this, can we alter this or do something with that? So that's what we're actually doing there. So first of all, because you may actually have in your freezer, and this is a thing which I decided earlier on, is that I would actually have things in different methods. So I might have counts. So I might have a bag of sausages, in which case I might just need the total count of sausages that I have, and then as I go through, I use up maybe 2, 4, 6, whatever along the way. The other one is portions, is that I get a portion of giblets, or I make pizza, and I make pizza dough, and then I break it up into specific portions that I will actually cook up each one. So I'll actually have each portion is maybe 1 pizza or whatever. Then I also have containers where I've cooked a meal, and then I actually package those into several containers so that I can have them over subsequent days. So I might have 5 containers of sweet and sour pork and rice or something like that. So therefore I've got different things grouped into the stuff. So now if we look at this table here, you see in the first column there's got 2 and there's got 0, 0 and 0, 0. So that's saying there were 2 pies, so there's 2 count of pies, and then there's no portions and there's no containers. Down here, I've got two, they're curries, so I have two containers of curries, so they're meals in themselves, but I've got no portions and no count. And then soups, I've got soups as packages, and then I'm just calling them as portions. That's one portion that I can make a meal out of. So that's how I'm defining some of those. So I've just got these three different ways of actually grading them. Now, I could do this with Excel. So first of all, I'll actually have to go and find Excel, start off Excel, go and find the file, open that up in Excel, go onto the correct tab that I actually need, then go and find out where I am on all of those. But I decided that I was actually just going to do a text file, because I suddenly thought I haven't done that much with text file manipulation, so I thought that might be interesting. So this brings me on to the second point, where it brings me on to 2 points here. In the article, now that's gone close itself down. In the article, I talk about the number of items that I use for the code, and I actually only use 5 letters because my QR codes are only 8 millimeters. So what's that? About 3. You know, the more detail you've got in them, the less likely you'll be able to read them. So I've just decided that I will use 5 items to actually use that there. So that's what I did. Sorry, 5 digits to actually define those items through there, and they seem to read, and I don't have any problems with them at all. So that's what I did. With the count, I can actually have the count, and I could just make all of those. I can just say I can have up to 9 of anything in there, so I can have 9 packages or 9 sausages, or 9 containers of something. But then I suddenly thought, oh well, actually I might have a whole load of falafel or meatballs or something like that, of which sometimes I take 3 out, sometimes I take 5 out, depending on what meal or what I'm making. So I might go up to more than 9. So I might go 10, 12, 14, something like that. So I thought, well, okay, if I got 2 digits, I can go up to 99. So I thought, well, okay, then if I got 2 digits, then I can actually meet that. So I meet all of my needs all the way along as to however many that I want to do. Now, if I'm in Excel or if I'm in Google Sheets, if I do a double O into there and go enter, I'm going to think about it, it just rounds it back to a single 0. So what I actually had to do for this point here is actually just put a couple of zeros in it. But you see, in text files, it's not an issue. It's not trying to put any intelligence in this. This is just one string of text. Now, whether it's text numbers or whatever, it's just reading them as a whole lot of digits through there. So we can actually use a 03 and a 02 and a 01, or a 10 or a 15 or a 20 or a 200, a 25 or 99. And it doesn't make any difference. And we could actually most probably do some arithmetic if we want, but we're not actually doing any arithmetic. We don't need to do any of that. All we need is placeholders. Now, the reason why I've used the 2 digits is that when I start doing trimming up the thing, I know where those lie. So it would be awkward if I only had a single digit and then suddenly I had 2 digits. Is suddenly everything would be thrown out. Whereas if I actually keep the 2 digits, all of my strings work perfectly. So I can now break it down, and I know exactly where all of the items are on that. So that's quite clever. Now, of all of the things we actually have the code, which is 5 digits. Then we have the count, the portions and the containers, and they're all 2 digits each. Then we've got the date, and the date is 222, 2 for the day, 2 for the month, 4 for the year, and then we just have dashes in between. So that brings that up to 10. So the only thing that's going to expand and contract is the description. So we put that at the end. So that can grow or shrink or be whatever size it wants. It doesn't matter at all, because we can manage that as long as all the ones before that are all of a consistent length. So, if there was something that we had another one that was a little bit more variable, we could end up just saying, well, it could go up to 4 and it could go down to 3 or 2 or things. But as long as we have filler letters or numbers in there, as long as it's always of a specific length, 4, 10 or 15, we can always manage it in this breaking up of the string to put them into the variables through there. So that's how we do that. Now, the second thing is that of this, it's either a count or it's a portion or it's a container. So what we can actually do is that we can say when we find our string at the beginning, we can actually say, look, if the count is 00, then the new count will be 00. If the portion 00, then the new portion will be 00. So all we want is the one that's non-zero, so that it's not a 0, 0, and then we can actually just pop that up. So that's why when we actually come into the next pop-up box, we actually just have 3 different lots of GUIDs based on an if. So if the count, the one that we were doing something like MFF, so Frankfurt is all of these, that's a count of 2. So that means the count is not 0, 0, then it'll only show the count box that we can put in a new count number. So it doesn't bother showing the portions, and it doesn't bother showing us the containers. And so we can actually manage that. So if the portions is that way, then it'll only show the portions. Else, if it's not the first 2, then it's only going to show the other one. So that's a way of actually differentiating it, so that basically you're putting the input in. You say, wake up, Mr. Program. You're saying, this is what I'm looking for. It returns another pop. Oh, and then I have to go enter. Then it says, this is what I'm looking for. I've got that many of those things. I've got 1 less now, so I just put the number prior to it. Or I've just put another 10 in the fridge or something like that, so I can actually add to that as I need to. I've only got 12 on here since I'm actually testing it. And then it goes through and it actually updates that thing. So the next thing it does is that after we've modified that thing, we actually come down, and I've got the info speak, so I've got the text to speech, but I've just got it turned off at the moment because it can be a little bit irritating. What it then does is it creates a new string, so that the string matches and there, Bob, and it just appends a new line on the bottom with the new variables that we've actually got put in there. So if we said the count was 4 before and we've just gone into count 3, it does that. Also with the info speak, I only actually info speak the one that I've changed. So I've got if it's not that, then so through there. So we've got if, else, if, and an else through there. Then we come through the file line delete. Now there was a program called text file and string library for AutoHotLib, which I came across, and it has some really cool things in there. I just could not get this thing to work at all, and I spent an awful lot of time, easily half a day, on trying to get it to work, and I kept on trying to do things, and I was very frustrating, removing lines, replacing a line, doing something like that. In the end, I actually found a little script, a function which was file line delete. Now, if you look at what this file line delete does, is it says line that we've just, so there we've got the old line and the new line. So what it does is it rewrites the whole file name again, and it just says that one line. So if it's number 5 is the line that we're just replacing, we've appended the file, so we've got that, and it says line number 5 we don't want. So it'll go and rewrite lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and whatever to the end. So it just leaves out that line. So it just doesn't rewrite. So it just rewrites the whole file again. So this is why it's important, in a way, or the method that I was doing it, is that I'd only have one instance of each of the thing. Because that means on this particular one here, I've only got 22 lines to look up. If I was to kind of change something and each time show that change, I could have multiple things on this with different dates as to how things changed all the way through. And I could end up with a switch saying whatever the latest date is, that is live and the other ones are dead. But it's still got to go through all those lines and do a lookup. So if you've got something where things are changing all the way down, you could end up with a very long file, especially if you're using it for a longer period of time. So this is why I only wanted a simple file, just blows away the old line and rebuilds the new line through there. And then that way you're actually only got a very compact little file through here. Now what I'm going to do, I haven't got it in here at the moment, but I think I'm actually just going to also write the file, but I'm also just going to save a copy of the original file name as well, so that I've got and it's just going to be called backup, and then I'm just going to overwrite that each time it happens, so that if something happens, I've got a little bit of a backup one of all of those things as well. So all of that's been quite good. Now, one thing which I did have a problem with, or one thing that cropped up on this one here, right at the very beginning, I've got a input box. Now, an input box says for a string, and it says give us a string and give us a record file. I'll go and look up that string in that record file, in the file. But it has an OK box. Now, that was one of the things that actually drove me. If you're using a barcode scanner, normally the barcode says that scans the barcode, which is got a bit of data in it, and then it says what do you want to do at the end. Do you want a tab or do you want to do an enter key? So when I was trying to do the plant one, I was having to tab down so it'd read the data and then a tab. Then I had to reconfigure the barcode scanner to press the enter to read the data and then press enter, which would then press the button coming through. I've now solved that by using a simple thing. Is all I use is I'm just using a bit of AutoHotKey script, which is just send enter or send tilde T, which is like a line thing. So if I just demonstrate those ones there, and this is the send the tilde T, and you'll see it does send, and then it drops a line and does the T. And if I do a send enter, you'll see it does a send enter. Now, if I actually scan that onto a button, it will do that, because what happens if we just go through and do the example again, if I do the thing I come through there, I'm just going to use bones as the first one through there. Now you see, as soon as I've done the bones, it's tabbed. So if I'm in bones in here, if I just go tab bounces me onto the OK. So if I just go send enter, it will press the enter key and push through.